You ready?
I'm good.
It says that we're recording.
Yeah.
So I think that's on. That's recording.
Dude, I'm jealous, Mike. None of my Sonys have tally lights on the front.
Oh, that like show you
And
that
I have way more expensive
yeah,
Sonys
like they're way
than
more
those.
expensive. Should be good.
So, yeah, you should be good.
Sick. Welcome to the United Archery podcast, episode number 1. I'm Wyatt Michaud, founder and owner of Wisconsin Archery and now United Archery. I'm with Chase Baker. Welcome, Chase. Chase is the owner of Grit.
Thanks for having me on. Guest number 1. That's pretty awesome. It's a cool feeling.
These first few are for sure going to be a little rough. I mean, in first podcast I've ever done, Chase has done a handful, but we'll see how this goes and get through her.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some bugs to work out. We already ran into a few before even hitting record here.
Yeah, these microphones are Chase's, so he's borrowing them for this episode, and we'll get some different ones. So
yeah, once we get some hardware brought in,
yeah,
should be good to go.
Perfect. So I have some notes to my side. That's why I'm looking over here. But why United Archery? So it's mostly going to be about Wisconsin Archery, but I wanted it to not be limited to Wisconsin Archery. So the big thing was with United Archery, I'm not limited on guests that are only from Wisconsin. We can bring on guests from anywhere, cover any topic in archery, not just be limited to just Wisconsin.
Right. So for United Archery as a podcast, what's the goal of the show? What is the audience going to learn about? What are you trying to accomplish with the show?
The biggest thing for like what people are going to expect is going to be a lot of shooters, people from clubs. It's going to be bow hunters, people holding events, really everything in the archery community.
Okay, cool.
The podcast is for anybody in archery, anybody who's looking to get into archery, anyone who's looking to get into bow hunting, really everything archery in Wisconsin and the United States. So
what inspired you to kick off United Archery and Wisconsin Archery?
Wisconsin Archery, I saw a huge demand for the advertising for the shoots and events going out there. Last I looked, I was looking online today, and I think they estimated like over 200,000 bow hunters in the state.
Yeah.
And there's so few people that go to shoots, that go to events, that I hear stories all the time about people that used to go to shoots that like they'd have hundreds of people there or 1,000 people there, and they seem to be kind of dying off. So I kind of wanted to get more people to educate about the shoots that are going on.
Yep.
And just to get the word out about them.
Sure. There seems to be a little bit of a gap when it comes to digital promotion, social media promotion for some of those events to get the word out. And, you know, it's not the case across the board, but I definitely see some shoots promoted that, you know, it's a picture of a photocopied flyer.
Yeah.
You know, it sort of is the content, and that format doesn't really lend itself to being published digitally very easily. So having something like Wisconsin Archery to showcase all of that on sort of a map format is definitely helpful.
Oh yeah, and that was kind of like it's the bridge between all the bow hunters that are out there, all the events and organizers and clubs and whatnot, and I just wanted to connect people that are already bow hunting or have bows with the stuff already going on.
Sure.
Just kind of make it a nice, easy to learn more about what's going on there.
And it probably helps that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you don't have any kind of affiliate with any kind of club or organization where you're only working with a certain age group or a certain business. You know, it's across all the clubs, all the different levels of competition. It's not just within one small sector, right?
Yep. Everything in Wisconsin, and it's for every skill level of archer too. Someone who's never gone to shoot at an event, to someone who goes to 30 a year. It's for everybody.
Sure.
So one of the big things. With Wisconsin Archery, there's a few different things I wanted to point out on here. I've made some videos in the past about like what each part of the website is, so I'll kind of just touch on that briefly. There's a shoot calendar on there. It's going to be all the shoots in the state.
What is the website? Let's start out with the .com.
Yeah, it's just wiarchery.com. So super easy.
Easy enough.
wiarchery.com. Head over there. If you go to the shoots calendar, it has all those shoots in the state. So you can find like 3D shoots there, tournaments, any kind of archery shoot, scrambles, a whole bunch, any kind of archery shoots on there. And they can even flip that calendar into a map view, or just hit on the shoot map when you click on there. Mm-hmm. And that'll show you where everything is. Sure. It'll show you like the next 20 or so shoots that are going on a map. and then you can toggle that date range to see kind of what's around you if you don't know like the names of the clubs and everything.
Okay. A great way to find new clubs and new opportunities that you maybe didn't know were available.
Yeah, absolutely. And then there's also an events calendar. So there's an events calendar set up the same way. It's just for every other kind of listing that isn't a shoot.
Okay.
So like leagues, parties, banquets, there's like expo, there's like hunt stocks going on right now. Deer Fest is coming up, other kinds of like expo style things around there, leagues, like I said, bow fishing events, like anything that's not a standard archery shoot is on there.
Very cool.
And then the thing I think that helps the most people, at least people who are new to archery, is the archery map. So there's an archery map on there. It's going to have every location you can shoot your bow, buy gear, join a club. There's like 320 locations on there. So there's stuff in every part of the state for you.
Now, is that two different maps?
No, so they are two different maps, and they're not linked.
Okay.
So you can basically use the archery map just to see what's in your area. Maybe looking to buy a new bow, get your bow tuned, especially because season's coming up. Or if you're looking to just find a club to join, or even like a public archery range. There's tons of free public archery ranges around the state.
So you have one map that's more resources for the archer.
Yep.
And then there's another map that's going to be specific to shoots and events on that same map.
Exactly. So like the archery map doesn't change. Those are just locations of what's around you.
Yep.
And then the event map or shoot map will just show you what shoots or events are going on.
Okay. That resource map could be really helpful if you're attending a shoot or you're traveling, or even if you're hunting somewhere in a new location and you have a string go down, or if you have a real good weekend, you need a new set of arrows or something, you could actually look up what's near me on that map and find a shop or a resource nearby.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, it's the limiting factor on what was a shop on there was if they sold broadheads. That was kind of my idea, like broadheads and light.
Oh, sure.
Like Dunham's is on there. Like, they're not really known for an archery shop, but you need a pack of broadheads, need some arrows, whatever. They might be able to help you out when you're in a pinch kind of thing. So.
Yeah, some bowstring wax or just something in the jam to get you moving.
Yep, absolutely. There's also an archery groups page on there. So we only have technically one group, and then we have one Facebook group on the groups page right now. So Whale Tails has their archery group page on there.
Okay.
So what that is the Whale Tails either has one or two of their employees go out and they get a group together to go do a shoot as a group. So if you're looking to shoot with people, you don't have people to shoot with, you can join a group like that.
And is that something, I mean, are you signing up for that? Are you paying any kind of membership? Is that casual? What's the format of that?
Totally casual. So that's going to be like just show up and just find, and they're going to be a group that you can shoot with, designed for maybe if you're intimidated, like you haven't gone to a shoot before. Really just give you something to make it easier to get to a shoot or an event, and just find new people to shoot with. Okay.
So would that be something, if I'm maybe new to the sport or new to the area, I might be able to meet up with a group of folks and go walk a 3D course and shoot with some folks like that?
Absolutely. And I'm looking for more groups on there. So if you're like an archery shop, or you just have your own group that you want to start with any affiliation whatsoever, you can even start one right now. Let me know. I can get your schedule on there. You can get a group going.
What's the process if somebody wanted to submit to start a group? I mean, do they email you? Is there a form on the website? How did they get in touch with you there?
The best way would be email. So you can just email, the email address is email@wiarchery.com. Or you can go to the Contact Us page on the website, and they'll send it right to that same inbox then.
Oh, cool.
Super simple, no charge whatsoever.
Yeah, that's easy enough.
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking to help get more people together and have some fun on the range.
Yeah.
Also, I do run a weekly email. So the weekly email goes out every Monday morning at 6 a.m. You're going to get every shoot of that week, all the events for that week, some archery news. I'll usually include like the Archer of the Month in there for one of the emails. It's completely free to sign up. If you want to just keep an eye on what's going on, just head over to the sign up page on the website, enter in your email address, and you'll start getting the email then.
And that's weekly?
Weekly, yep. Every Monday morning.
And do I get, emails from all of your sponsors? And, do I end up on the list and I get a whole bunch of other stuff?
Nope, you only get the weekly email. We do have some advertising spots on the top of the email that just helps fund the email to keep it going.
Within the email itself.
Yeah, within the email,
it's not additional emails. I think we've all signed up for, some free entry on, on a new bow or something, and then all of a sudden you end up with 12 different brands emailing you every day out of the sign up. So it's good that you kind of are keeping a tight lid on that list.
Yep, yeah, and like I said, it's only going up Monday mornings. I don't really send other stuff. It's just that weekly email, free info for you, just to stay in the loop on what's going on in the state.
Okay.
Another thing I want to mention too, if you are an archery club or an archer out of state, you're welcome to obviously use the website, totally free resource. And I also allow shoot listings outside of the state. So I definitely encourage like neighboring states, especially if they're near Wisconsin, they can add their shoot on there. There's a small fee for that, but I just want to put it out there. That way, if clubs are near Wisconsin and they want to get some extra exposure, they're encouraged to
Yeah,
do so.
if clubs are near the border, they could get some extra draw from neighboring states then.
Especially like Wisconsin, Illinois, like those two states right there with Chicago, Milwaukee, like you're gonna get a ton of overlap in that.
Oh yeah, and even Minnesota. I mean, depending on what part of the state you're in, there's portions where you've got Minneapolis is not far away either for a lot of those clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. The big thing too, like if you're part of a club, you're part of a shop, or you know of stuff going on, definitely encourage anyone or any affiliation to add your stuff on the website. Adding shoots is totally free. There is a small fee for adding like events, but like I said, the archery shoots totally free to add for anybody anytime. We just want to make sure we have all the shoots on there.
Okay.
Sweet. So you want to dive in a little bit about you, Chase?
I don't think we went through enough on your background.
Okay.
I mean, you're the host of everything.
Yeah.
Did you have anything written on? No.
We can just kind of do impromptu for
that's
Wisconsin
fine.
archery. I guess we can dive into like when it started.
Okay. So Wyatt, what is your background in the archery community?
So the archery community, I guess I'd make that a broader statement with the archery industry, I would say.
Okay.
I started working at Gander Mountain. For anybody above the age of like 25, you know what that is. If you're under 25, you might not know of a Gander Mountain. It was similar to Cabela's, like a little smaller, and there were just more of them. So I worked at Gander Mountain from 2012 to 2014. I was probably like 16 years old then, and just selling bows, helping people, just learning how to work on bows and help people.
So you're working in sales primarily?
Yep.
Okay.
Just in the archery department there. Really fun job, great manager, great team. It was super laid back and real easy. From there, I worked at a different pro shop from 2014 to 2019 while I was in college.
Okay.
And there I studied marketing, worked at that archery shop part-time for 3 or 4 years. Then I was full-time for a year or two. And then from there, I went to work for an ad agency where me and you started working together.
Yep.
We worked at that ad agency I worked there from 2019 to 2022, something like that.
Somewhere thereabouts.
Yeah. That was a good time working with you. That was great, obviously, to meet you, and we're still working together to this day, so it's been awesome. We worked at an ad agency that specialized in the outdoor industry, so we worked with like hunting brands, fishing brands, really anything in the outdoor space. Chase's background is he was a creative director, so he's very familiar with design, videography, photography, really anything in the creative space. I was more on the digital marketing side of things, running ads, social media pages, like pretty just day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good dynamic, though. It was, my department did a lot of the strategy and the creative, making the pieces, but those creative elements aren't worth a whole lot if they're not getting in front of the right eyes.
Yeah.
And so being able to just take some of those creative pieces and bring them over to you and be like, hey, Wyatt, how do I get this in front of a bunch of archers in the Southwest?
Yeah.
If that was what was if that was who had a whitetail season at that given time, you could get it out there. And we had a lot of ads do really well while we were doing that together.
Absolutely. We had some killer ads that we did, and definitely a good hat, or what is it, feather in your cap or whatever.
Yeah. It was definitely a good run and some notable pieces while we were working together.
Oh yeah.
So post working at the agency together, where did you go from there?
From there, I became an electrician, so kind of like a 180.
Yeah, you're going from sitting at a computer every day to way not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so there was that was kind of my plan B out of high school. Was like I was gonna do. Well, I skipped around in my degrees a bunch, but it basically went from marketing. Then I was like, if I didn't do that, I wanted to become an electrician. It seems like a good field, and I kind of like doing that kind of stuff. And that was good. It lasted a couple of years, and learned after a while that it really wasn't what I wanted to do for 40 years. So I kind of wanted to jump back somewhere. I didn't really know where, and kind of just took the leap off and figured out where I'd go, and ended up. Now I'm working back at an archery shop. I'm working at Wicked Archery in Richfield, Wisconsin. So it's in like the southeastern part of the state, right across the street from Cabela's. The Cabela's in Richfield. We're right across the street from there. We get a ton of customers from there, and it's a great shop. Awesome shop. I've been growing like crazy. So
what's your role at Wicked?
My official title is brand and operations manager. There's not a lot of brand managing going on right now with how busy we are, but it's mostly just day-to-day operations with working on bows, helping customers. We just went through a little bit of update around the shop. So we got a whole bunch of new stuff in the shop, trying to get everything laid out and put back together so we can stay operational.
Okay, so I mean, it sounds like you're doing a little bit of everything over there. Like you'd be covering sales, merchandising, bow tech. I mean, are you fletching arrows and mounting strings and the whole nine?
Yep, everything, top to bottom. I'm running the Facebook page, doing that kind of stuff, and it's pretty slim right now on how many posts are going out. It's just the time allotted for. We've been growing so fast. So if you're looking for a job, we are hiring too. So we're hiring at least one guy, possibly two, to stop in the shop. You can grab the application. So it's been going great.
So how many years experience do you think you would have if you stacked up, all of your time working in the archery business then?
If you exclude the electrical time I was an electrician, I would say you're right around 12 years, 10 to 12 years. While I was an electrician, I still did stuff on the side, so you could kind of count them in, but not really.
I mean, you never quit shooting your bow.
No, I never quit shooting my bow. As of right now, I had very limited on time to even shoot my bow, just with how much work we have at the shop and getting this all up and running. But definitely never stopped shooting for sure.
Sure.
Just dial it down a lot. I used to shoot more, and but I'm trying to get back to that. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can remember you being working at the agency and, being in the middle of tearing down your bow for like a third time that season, trying to get, some kind of bug worked out of your setup.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, okay. So Wyatt, what inspired you to start Wisconsin Archery, and what impact are you trying to have on the archery community locally with that organization?
So what prompted me or inspired me to start Wisconsin Archery was the lack of information or accessibility to the information of the archery community. So I wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to find the events and the shops and the clubs that are already putting in a bunch of work to keep the clubs running, set the trails, keep the shops running, keep them in business, and connect the people who are looking for the information and the locations with everything that's out there, everything that's to offer.
I was asking you what your inspiration was for, to start Wisconsin Archery, and then what kind of impact or what your goal
my
is.
impact, yeah.
What kind of goal you want to have on the community.
So impact, the impact I want to have is to increase the number of archers who are in the community. And I say in the community by they're going to shoots, they're going to leagues, they're going to the events, they're finding people to shoot with. I hear stories about back in the heyday when there's tons of shooters at different shoots, and it seems like their attendance is kind of dying off, and I kind of want to bring some life back into that. I look at it almost as like a tier system. So like you kind of got like I want to say like 4 tiers of archers. You're going to have somebody who's, not into archery, doesn't own a bow. Mm-hmm. You got like tier 2 is like you have a bow and like you hunt, and that's kind of about it. Maybe tier 3 you're hunting.
I might be that guy.
Okay. Like tier 3, like you're hunting. And maybe you go to like 1 or 2 shoots a year, and you got like your tier 4, which is like you're going to all the shoots. Like maybe you compete at a high level, like you're really involved in the sport. And my goal would be to help you get up the tier. So maybe you're new to archery. Well, I'll point you in the direction of where you can go buy a bow or where you can shoot your bow. And then maybe you have a bow and you want to go to your first event or shoot. Like I can point you in that direction. You want to find out about more shoots or events, I can help you with that. And maybe you're a tournament archer. And what that'll do is you can find out where all the tournaments are and help better schedule your year, basically. Then.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good impact to have on the community, to grow the total number of archers and try to increase the archers that we do have, try to increase their involvement and get them at more shoots. We're going to be. It was interesting watching the shift with COVID, and everybody was starting to work remote, and it was really seeming like things are going to be exponentially more digital than ever. Everybody, the online shopping, home delivery for groceries, that grew like tenfold over the course of a couple of months through the initial shutdown. But then we saw kind of a resurgence in the outdoors, and people were finally getting outside and doing stuff, and hunting and fishing was kind of a way that people could still go do entertaining things while everything else was sort of shut down. But as sort of, I think that was kind of the catalyst for sort of a new direction that we're seeing. It's predominantly in the younger audience, kind of your Gen Alpha, or maybe a little bit younger than that even. But there seems to be a pretty strong push back into analog, that or maybe not even strictly analog, but dedicated devices. I want my phone to be a phone. I want to listen to music on an old iPod, or some people are bringing back vinyl. I wonder if there'll be more of a tactile, harvest your own meat, shoot your bow, go meet up with people at shoots, camp, sit around the campfire versus scroll Instagram for hours.
Absolutely. I think I've even noticed that change. So working retail again, and also just like trends of consumers, people coming in, they're just saying they want to buy their first bow because they want to harvest their own meat and just be more connected in that process, just being more plugged in basically.
Sure. And with the work I do, I definitely have no shortage of digital tools and technology around me, but I'm finding more and more, I used to take a digital camera with me everywhere. You go camping, go hiking, wherever I'm headed, I was taking a digital camera with me. And I recently went to a networking event over in Minneapolis. The Professional Outdoor Media Association hosted a summit. And I did bring digital cameras, and I went birding a little bit with the super telephoto, but 90% of the pictures I took were with a Polaroid.
That's awesome.
Like during the whole event, I probably shot 80 frames of Polaroid film, and I shot less than that on my digital camera. And nobody hardly cared about what we were shooting digital. But man, I mean, I had people offering to pay me to take pictures of them with the Polaroid. So it just was interesting because like you can't Photoshop it. You really can't even hardly post it unless you're going to like scan it or take a picture of it. But it was so final that if you're blurry, like if you're doing something goofy, like it's just in the photo. There's no take another one. You even have to wait a half an hour for a Polaroid image to actually show up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm definitely a big fan of that trend of people, trying to get off the screens more and get back into nature, either through hunting or just outdoor recreation at anything, really, fishing, hiking, archery, whatever you name it.
Yeah, living in the moment a little bit more, and with having the camera right on your phone and having that so readily available, there's such a tendency to, as you're hiking or scouting a new location, to be kind of just walking around snapping cool stuff, or if you're on vacation, you're just snapping everything, and you're really kind of living the moment through the screen instead of just in person.
Yeah.
And if you're running a film camera and you get about 25 shots, maybe 30 shots to an average roll of film, you're limited. You're like, well, I'm only going to take like 20 pictures, so I'm only going to take good ones and be thoughtful about them. But then it's forcing you to kind of put the camera down, and the rest of the time you're really focusing in on that moment. And I think that's something that with so much digital, and there's so many, what do they call it? You got like people that are like just absolute warriors behind the keyboard, but then you get them out of that space, and all of a sudden their attitude completely changes. There's so much negativity, and there's such a time suck and an attention suck with just most of it is just trash. There is some good content out there and some entertaining stuff here and there, but most of it is very low value. It doesn't contribute anything to. It doesn't have actual entertainment. It's not contributing to your quality of life in any way. And going out to a shoot, and like I've had some great shooting with Wyatt where I shot like trash. I've shredded arrows. There was one shoot with you. I think I came home with like 2 out of 6 arrows, and just it was a terrible. I had a terrible shoot, but I had a great time.
Oh yeah.
Like we were outside, we were laughing. Arrows were getting just blown to bits, and we're just laughing about it, having a good time. You don't have that experience in digital. You don't have that connection. You're not breaking physical things, even if it's accidental. Like it happened. You experienced it. It was tangible in the real space. I think people are kind of craving that. So I think we might actually see a bit of a resurgence around events and shoots and having some of those meetups, and like you said, like those group activities where maybe I'm really into archery, but I don't have anybody to go shoot with, or I'm new to the area and I don't know, who to go shoot with or where to shoot. I think that's a great resource to be able to help people kind of connect those gaps.
You want to dive in a little bit about grit and kind of your background?
Yeah, if you want to roll through a few questions, that's cool.
I guess to start off with, what is grit?
Like you want me to define it as like the business?
Yeah, just what you do.
Okay, so Grit is a creative agency specialized in creating branding and brand-focused materials specifically to support the outdoor industry. And for folks that maybe don't speak that language, what that typically means is logos, logo supporting elements, fonts, colors, textures, image styles. That's kind of the core element of it, but I like to say that branding extends wider than that. The style in which your photos and videos are shot and edited, that is an influence from your brand. There's a whole slew of different elements that all kind of come together to define what a brand looks like. We're all familiar with Under Armour, Sitka, Matthews, and Vortex. There's a number of sort of category leaders. Yeti is usually a pretty prominent name when we're talking brand specific stuff. Those category leaders have very strong visuals, but they have a very specific way that they do it. And so what I do at Grit is I help people figure out, with a young business or maybe a business where their brand is getting a little bit stale, I help look at, okay, what makes you you? What's unique about your story, your message, what you do? And then I help those brands craft what their message should be for their target audience, and then get that in front of the right people in the right style, right? So that they have something, you want something that's unique to your brand visually, that sort of explains what you do, but does it in a compelling way to that specific audience.
That's awesome. And I would definitely encourage everyone listening to go check out Chase's work. Head over to his website. It's just downtogrit.com. And definitely check out his Instagram or Facebook page. Tons of photos and videos on there of clients and work he's done and what he's kind of up to on the day-to-day. He's always out and about taking photos of wildlife or, product photos, videos, doing design stuff. He's very active.
Yeah, never, hardly ever a day off. My wife likes to joke that I left a 9 to 5 to work 24/7. Is kind of the running joke there. I deal with a lot of smaller brands or cottage industries. A lot of those people have a 9 to 5, and this is, the stuff that I work on or help them with is often their side hustle.
Perfect. Okay. We're back. Technical difficulties as expected. Let's pick back up with a little bit about Grit, or at least about you at least. So what is your background in archery, Chase?
Oh man, my background in archery goes back quite a ways. I mean, I started shooting a kid's youth bow, little 10-pound, compound Fleet Farm special back in the day. Shot that, grade school, moved up to some little bit bigger, youth models, a little heavier draw weights. Shot kind of into high school a little bit, and pressure in my area got real heavy, and things got real frustrating to bow hunt. I was putting in a lot of time scouting as a kid. I mean, I'm 12, 14 years old trying to scout a halfway decent buck to put a hunt on. And this was before trail cameras they weren't really affordable or accessible at that time. So we're laying strings across paths to figure out, direction of travel and stuff. And it's just a lot of boots on the ground, just trying to lay eyes on them at different times of day and figure out, where they're bedding, where they're walking through. And there was a lot of what I would consider kind of poor sportsman conduct in my area. You'd spend all spring, summer scouting, and you'd get to where you wanted to be for, opening day or shortly thereafter. And somebody would come traipsing in half hour after opening light and set up 10 yards, 20 yards away and start rattling a bunch. And I just got fed up with that. So I threw the bow down and sold everything off for actually quite a while. Through college and some of my first jobs out of college, I wasn't bow hunting at all. I was still rifle hunting and doing some upland stuff, but pretty much gave up on the bow. There was just too much pressure where I was, and it wasn't accessible. And the summer that I met my wife, she decided that, let me back up a little bit, or just redo that. The summer that I met my wife, we needed to buy a birthday present for her niece, and her niece was kind of into pink camo and kind of that whole attitude, and we got her a youth bow, and my wife was kind of looking at it, and she's like, I think I could do that. I'm like, you absolutely could do that, but we'll get you an actual bow. You don't need a youth bow. And we picked her up a a black diamond special over at Cabela's for I think like $300, highly adjustable, and she really kind of leaned into that, and so I figured, well, I might as well get back into it since she's kind of taken off with it, and picked up a used bow off a marketplace and kind of got back into it, and actually first met Wyatt at one of the shops that he was working at, and I had a bow that was set up kind of janky, and he fixed it up for me without making me feel like an idiot, and that made a pretty good impression on us, and so we took our bows back there to be tuned, trying to get Wyatt to handle our bows whenever we could. So yeah, I've had kind of a twisted and kind of jaded path with archery, and my interest in it now kind of ebbs and flows. I have some seasons where I spend a little more time in the stand than others. Lately it's kind of a camera tied to my hands most of the time instead of the bow. But there's something about kind of the marksmanship to it. There's always something to be adjusting. It's kind of like golf or fly fishing in that way, where you may be pretty good at it, but it's gonna take a lifetime of continuing to tweak, and I don't think you ever really achieve true perfection on it. Even some of the pro guys that are competitive are constantly evolving their setups and looking for ways to progress.
That's awesome. And we've gone to a couple of shoots together, and I don't think we've gone to any this year, but usually we go at least one or two a year.
Yeah. Even my wife will sometimes come out we do the fun shoots.
Yeah.
I mean, we've done stuff where we kept score and we've turned them in at the end of the day for laughs more than anything. It's just a good time. I mean, it takes me a little bit to kind of figure out, like, okay, how does the scoring work for this shoot? Sometimes certain circles are painted, sometimes other circles are worth more value than other ones. You have, 14s are like outside of everything else, and if you miss a 14, it's only a 5 or something like that, or is it 16s?
Yeah, 14s, that's usually just for shoot-offs, though, and your center 12s or lower 12s, and there's a whole bunch of different formats.
Yeah, there's different ways that the formats kind of go, and I kind of struggle with figuring all of those out, but it's always a good time. So I usually try to go with Wyatt or somebody that knows what they're doing, and figure out, like, okay, what part are we aiming for, and look through my own binoculars to kind of figure it out. But it's a fun time.
That's awesome. So what do you think about, both of us have been in the outdoor industry for a good bit. I mean, I wouldn't say a lifetime, but a good bit. What do you think of the current outdoor industry, maybe like where we started when you started your career to now? Yeah,
I feel like I've seen kind of an interesting evolution because, from a career standpoint, my introduction into the outdoor space professionally was with Mills Fleet Farm Corporate, and doing some of their marketing promotions there. And I feel like I've seen kind of a shift from, it wasn't quite the DVD days anymore when I was, we're talking 2011, 2012. I think the DVD thing was starting to fade by then, but TV shows were still pretty big and viable. And everything was kind of the rock star attitude. And I feel like from the rock star attitude, we saw a lot of brands get bought up, a lot of conglomerates kind of picking things up and shoving things all together. And now you've got, gigantic companies that own dozens to hundreds of brands all under one house there. And I feel like a lot of the stuff that's gone to really big brands, not all of them, but a lot of them, quality has really dipped, and I feel like we've seen some legacy brands kind of growing stale, some brands that have been around for a really long time and were maybe getting comfortable leaning on a name, and like they had a reputation. I think a good example that won't ruffle too many feathers that we saw was Remington. We saw Remington, Remington was a big name for the better part of 100 years. And we saw Remington go belly up, kind of get stripped down and sold for parts, and different factories bought up, or different manufacturers bought up different portions of the brand. And then we've seen it kind of watered down, and I mean, the Remington name gets stamped on anything and everything now. But it's kind of been interesting in that there was kind of this rock star attitude, and these brands are kind of built up around, kind of this face paint, kill 'em all, pile shots, grab and grins was kind of where everything was at. And then as everything kind of built up into these big corporate monsters, I think we're starting to see some more cottage brands start to emerge now. And I think we're seeing stuff that is handmade or made in our home state. And I think, we're leaning into some of that now where, maybe somebody doesn't offer the best product, period, but maybe it's made in your hometown or maybe it's made nearby. And you're like, do I really need the premium $1,000 version of something? Do I need a $2,000 pair of boots? Or could I buy something locally or, a state over that's maybe a $500 pair of boots? And is that maybe good enough for what I do? And I think we're starting to see more folks value that made in USA stuff that's, made locally, supporting local economy, local industry. I think we're seeing more support for that. And I think that is going to force more innovation. I think that's going to force more competition with some of the brands that have maybe gotten a little comfortable over the years. So I think what we're seeing as far as just the state of the outdoor industry is I think we're seeing a lot of stuff in flux right now, a lot of stuff kind of changing around, but I think it's going to be changed for the better. And I think ultimately it's going to benefit the consumer. I think average Joe bow hunter, I think is going to see some really strong rewards in the next decade.
Yeah, I think I would agree a lot. I would agree for sure on the conglomerates of the outdoor space. You had a lot of mom and pop businesses that got bought up. You'll list the 4 or 5 that are the big key players in the outdoor space, and now they have 20 to plus brands underneath them that are kind of all under one umbrella now. At least on the archery side, at least for right now, there's probably only a handful of reps we work with on like a day-to-day basis that cover the vast majority of the brands. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that kind of stuff, because there are some smaller brands that have really gained a lot of success recently, and it's cool to see.
Yeah, you might have 4 or 5 reps, and across them that may represent a couple hundred brands, and that may be 90% of what you guys have available to sell within the shop.
Yep, absolutely. So what are your plans for this fall? Are you planning to do? You're primarily waterfowl hunter, like hunting ducks, like hunting geese.
Yeah, I mean, I get into a little bit of everything. I like to say I'm a fisherman since birth and a duck hunter at heart. And
okay,
that's kind of I even where we're recording this podcast, we're a stone's throw from a marsh, and that's not by accident. I mean, that was definitely on my radar. Fall, I actually have a lead on a decent deer spot, so I may be in the stand a little bit more than usual, but I also have 2 different marshes calling my name right now. The challenge for me is always balancing hunting season with busy season for grit. Last October I did a trip to Canada with a client of mine, and across some other client projects for the month of October, I was home for a total of 2 days, and they were not even back-to-back days. So I would be on a shoot for 3, 4, 7 days. I would come home, dump all my gear, dump all my clothes out, load a suitcase back up with, fresh clothes, try to, scrub up some of my camo, if anything was really stinking, try to get something cleaned up, and then back on the road. I mean, October, the month of October is just crazy as far as grit goes. I mean, I usually have a shoot or some kind of edit going on almost every single day of the month. And I mean, as you know, October, early November, I mean, that's prime bow hunting too. Like that's a good time to be out in the woods. So it's always a balance between, I really want to get out there, but you also have to make hay while the sun is shining. So that's a tough balance to strike.
I absolutely agree. I feel the same way. At least working back on the archery shop side of things, that's our busy season. That July through October, November-ish, that really is the peak season. That's when we're all working more hours, staying late, and that's the time we want to be out hunting. So definitely a double-edged sword there, but definitely enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, people are losing arrows or replacing broadheads, or I mean, there's any number of things that they can have go wrong. They're going to try to get a new sight, or they need something tuned up on their bow. That's kind of the thick of the flurry for bow hunters, that they're out there doing it and breaking stuff and losing stuff, and then they got to come to you to take care of it. Yeah, that's got to cut into your time in the stand also.
Yeah, a little bit. Absolutely.
What's your plans for this fall?
My plans for this fall are going to be to hunt as much as I can.
Shoot a booner, right?
Yep, absolutely. Every year, booner or bust. Like, that's it. No, I'm probably going to be adventuring out to different parts of the state and hunting new areas. And I'm thinking just trying some new spots out, trying hunt as much as I can is the big thing. It's just how much time I'm going to have away from the shop, and how much time I can get out there. So
Yeah. Now, when you say new areas, I mean, how far are you looking to travel?
I'm looking to travel probably at least 2 hours away. I'd say like two to four.
Okay.
I mean, I might try Western Wisconsin. I did some hunts out there a couple years ago. Central Wisconsin, probably not too much Northern Wisconsin, maybe even Southern Wisconsin, like Southwestern Wisconsin.
Yeah, but you're not just trying to find new corners of Kettle Moraine State Forest.
No, yeah,
you're going all over.
I'll get a hotel for a couple days or whatever and do some short trips in different areas and just have fun with it.
Driftless area could be cool.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, just beautiful country if nothing else.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I think we're back.
I hear you.
All right, after
They're
round
rolling.
2 of tech difficulties.
Go quick before they overheat again.
All right, big shout out to Buxton Bowman for being the advertiser for July. They got a bunch of stuff coming up. They have a summer 3D league going on right now. They have a beginners archery league. They have 3 more shoots this year, July 26th, August 9th, and September 20th. They have some archery shoots going on. Definitely also want to check out the PBA or Poinet Bowhunter Association shootout by Vortex. That's August 1st. That's pre-registration only, and pre-registration closes July 27th. They got $10,000 worth of Vortex giveaways, $2,000 worth of cash prizes. Definitely go over it and check that one out. Another one coming up is the Horicon Marsh Archers Bowhunter 3D warm-up, August 1st and 2nd. They got course set up for compounds and traditional. So you want to make the best of that weekend, head over to the PBA shootout August 1st on Saturday, and then maybe Sunday hop over to the Horicon Marsh Archers right down the road. They're probably 45 minutes away and shoot that one as well too. So yeah, make sure to go check those out on wiarchery.com. Also want to let you know that summer apparel drop is now live. We got Woodland Brown tee. We also have an OD green. We got new hats too. We got patch hats now. So those have definitely been requested. Those are all available on the website right now. Definitely go over and check it out.
Cool. A lot of fun stuff going on.
Absolutely. We're wrapping up episode 1. Episode 1 is full of tech difficulties and stuttering and a bunch of issues. But like I said, we're going to get through it. We're going to get better at it. Let us know in the comments what guests you want me to have on, what topics you want to cover, what else you want to hear about. Just let us know. Let us know where you're from too. Where are you located? Where are you listening from? If you want to also go to subscribe to wherever you're listening to this to. It should be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. Make sure to hit the like, follow, subscribe buttons, and stay tuned.
Sounds good.
Thanks for Chase for episode 1, and thank you for your help with all the design stuff with Wisconsin Archery and letting us use your mics and your space. And
hey, no problem.
Thank you for everything you do behind the scenes. Chase has been a big help. Make sure to go check him out at downtogrit.com. You can reach out to him on Facebook, Instagram, email. Tons of cool work from Chase.
Yeah, take care, man.
Thanks, guys.